Welcome to ScratchStart. In this session, we are going to see the data validation using the JavaScript. What by data validation means? In the sign up forms, mostly login forms and data entry, like giving your data, you can see you can only enter very specific kinds of data. Like in username, it will be very normal. Like I'm giving David, for example, and for email I'm giving David, and you need to give at any any at thing, and password we have to give a certain number of characters too. So that's how most of the sign up forms and login forms and other data entry forms works. So we are going to do that thing here. So I have written all the HTML CSS structuring tags, and also I have done the CSS too. So now we have to write the DOMs now. So I'm going to identify everything, all the classes here firstly. So I'm going to select everything now. So let's start by const. First I am selecting the whole form first. Form selected by document, get element by ID, and the ID is form. Next we have all the inputs here: username, email, and password. So I have for username I'm selecting by document, get element by ID. The ID is username, and then I'm next for the email, selecting by document, get element by ID, and the ID is email. And then the next thing is password. For the password we are doing the same method: document, get element by ID, and the ID is password. So we have created the IDs for the input. Now we have to create for the failure, like errors. Here see I have given the error too. So we create for that now. Const if a username is error, for that get element by ID, user error, and then we will have the email error, selected by document, get element by ID, email error, and then select by document, get element by ID, and the final ID is pass error. So now we have to select the form now, the whole form. Only the whole form, the every event every event happens, and only in the form we have the submit button too. So I'm selecting the form element, I'm adding the add event listener, and the event is submit. So when submit is happening, we have to introduce the function. The function name is e. I'm giving an e. So now we have to write the function. So if you've seen all the forms, the default how the browser behaves is mostly when the submit is clicked, when the submit button is clicked, the browser's default behavior is to refresh the page. But we do not have to refresh the page, because if we click the submit button, we will never know whether it is submitted or not, whether the data is stored in the storage, like we don't know anything, it will just refresh in the endless loops. So we have to stop that. For that, I'm selecting a function e and I'm writing preventDefault. This is one method to prevent the reloading, refreshing the page. So next, I'm writing a variable, introducing a variable is valid and assigning as default true. We will use it later in the program. So firstly, for the username we have to write the logic here. Now for the username validation, I am introducing the if logic here, and the condition is when the username we have seen the previous classes too, it will be entered when we type something in the browser, it will be considered as a text. So that we have to take that text as an input. So for that we have to use the thing called value, and then we have to trim the spaces. Like a string method. We have seen this in previous session too. If that is an empty string, the user errors text content should be updated, and that should be username is required. Text content should be changed. That means I have defaultly assigned that isValid function is true. Here isValue is false, so we have to mention it. So the isValid function is false here. So the alternate, like other possibility is the password is the username is entered. So right, so the username, we don't need the user error text content here, so we are updating user error text content as an empty string. We don't need any text to be appearing, right? So when I click, see, I haven't entered any username, so username is required. The text is appearing here, so it is working. Next, there is a email. Next, for email validation, we have to again use the here we are going to use if, else if and else logic here, because I'm using three situations here. So for the first situation is if email, I already said use the value, and then trim the spaces. If that appears to be an empty string, we have to change the email errors text content as email is required. Also isValid is here false here, so we have to denote that false. So the second situation is else if we have, as I have already said at the beginning, the email ID should have an @ symbol, like @ symbol. So we have to include that. So if it does not have, it is not a valid email. So we have to introduce that logic, like if email dot value does not includes @ value, at value. Then we have to write the email errors text content. Errors text content as enter a valid email. Next we have the only single possibility now. Like everything is okay, alright. If everything is okay, we have to write a email error and its text content should be an empty string. And I also told I have to indicate isValid is false. I forgot to indicate here. IsValid is false. So now I haven't entered the email, so the text is appearing, text content is appearing. So, and then I am not including the at. So please include valid email. See, that is the output, like a required output. So next we have to write the password. So to validate that, we have to validate next to that. So for the password validation, here also we have three conditions, like three situations. First situation is if the password took as an input and trim, as we did in the previous things too, is an empty string. That means if no password is present, we have to change the password errors text content as password is required. So other condition, the next situation is if the password should have the required length, like less than 10. If the password, if you have seen in some other sites, for example in Amazon, I have noticed, if I remember right, it should have at least 8 characters, something like that. So I am giving, if the password value and its length of the password is, if it is less than 6, then pass errors text content should be changed to minimum 6 characters required. And then we have the third situation, everything is alright, everything is okay. Then we write pass errors text content as an empty string. So we don't need any indication here. Also I forgot to include the isValid condition too. We have to indicate it every time. So everything is alright now. So when I click, see the password, I haven't entered the password too. So when I write the password, I am writing 1 2 3 4 5. I have wrote only only 5 characters. See, I only entered 5 characters, and it is saying the text content minimum 6 characters required. So it is working. When I add another character 6, see, it is working now. So next what we have to do is the final check. That means if all the things are valid, that means if everything is satisfy this isValid is equal to true boolean value, only then it will submit. The submit will work, and then alert will come. It will submit already, but we have to, I am indicating the using alert to that to indicate that password and everything has been submitted, because standard websites use this indication most. So I am writing the alert for the final check, if is valid, if everything is valid, we have to insert an alert. I am writing the alert text as form submitted successfully. So this is the text. Also adding exclamation because it is a happy news. We have done the project task correctly. So it is okay now. So now we will test. I am using the username as David, the password as David as 123, and the email address. The password I am writing 123456. So every condition is satisfied here. So when I click submit, this form submitted successfully alert should appear on the screen. See, this is the alert. Form submitted successfully. So this is the alert. So this is how we do form validation in most cases. I am doing this only in using the vanilla JS. That is the default thing, like writing everything in manual. When we write in using the frameworks and libraries, it will have mostly everything that we use here will be like components, like it is already pre-written for some other project. They will use or import everything to the existing projects, to the new projects too, from the existing project, so that we can focus on the new things we are implementing in the project. We don't have to write everything again and again for the every projects, because this form validation is a basic thing. Most of the websites use this, so they don't write often they don't write this things often, like again and again. So this is the form validation. And consider like and subscribe and share if you like my work, and I will see you in the next session. Thank you. Have a nice day.